they could do a lot more than what they're doing now, I can tell you. I think everybody would agree. I think one of the main things that is needed, of course, is more assurances that the role of women and girls will be respected in the coming months. That is so important. I think that the Australian government should endeavour to work harder to have very deep and meaningful conversations with the current leadership in Afghanistan, with other stakeholders, to impress upon them that the Western world in particular is very compassionate and very considerate of Afghan people and has great respect for them, particularly the international humanitarian community, which I belong with. And I think we want reassurances that whatever happens in this coming year, that the Afghan people will have peace, security, stability, opportunity for growing the economy, for socio-economic development, foreign investment opportunities. And I think that in order for Afghanistan to realise its full potential, that the Australian government and the international community really need to work harder on having a narrative around those things which will assist the Afghanistan government to secure those elements for a prosperous society. And I don't think that's happening as it should. I don't actually speak for the entire government, but I think there needs to be a greater commitment.
Sure. Thank you very much for that, Kay. My second question to yourself is, you're also involved in developing and coordinating sustainable projects to alleviate poverty, promote peace, and protect vulnerable populations. So enough lobbying on women's rights has been occurred from our end. What sort of initiative or project should be considered to obtain tangible results and bring a change or change the women's rights in Afghanistan?
صدای دارین جناب حکیم صاحب؟
بله خانم خانم جان
ببخشین
صحبت نکنیم بعد از خانم کی با شما صحبت نکنیم صحیح است؟
درست است.
Sorry, Kay.
No, that's okay. Well, if I can share something of a practical nature, the work in Afghanistan, of course, things will most likely change and some things will remain the same. But I think as far as opportunity for what women can do, if we can somehow assist them, and I just draw on the work that Rotary International does, because I'm actually a member of Rotary International, and I think there's a real opportunity there to engage women in peace-building opportunities. Rotary International, for example, has a great opportunity for peace scholarships that sponsor candidates for 3-month professional development studies, or they can undertake or apply to undertake a master's degree and in a topic that relates to peace. And I just, I'm on the Peace Scholarship Committee for our district in North Carolina in the United States. And we just interviewed an Afghan gentleman for candidacy. It's quite an extensive application to go through, but I think it's something that a lot more Afghan women would benefit from, and we need to get the message to them that that opportunity actually exists, and that would give them a presence in the narrative and the conversation around peace and conflict.
That's great. It would be great to get those details distributed across, so we could get our females or Afghan women apply for it and get that education level that they need.
Sonia, I'm really pleased to be able to have this conversation with you and the rest of the team, because this is my first year on the committee. So it's been a learning process for me, even despite the fact that I've been a Rotarian for many years and worked on Rotary projects inside Afghanistan. So I'm still learning a lot, but I'm certainly very, very interested in seeing if we can put some girls, women from Afghanistan up as candidates. And it's a tough sell, you know, it's not an easy scholarship to get, but it's a very worthwhile one. So I think we need to really work on that one.
That'll be great, Kate. Thank you very much for providing that information to us. My next question is to, actually, I've got to go back to Ms. Khane. خانم خانه شما در لاین هستین؟
بله هستم حکیم صاحب است.
بفرمایید شما سوال را که از شما پرسیدم.
سلام خدمت همه اشتراک کننده ها در این جلسه. تشکر میکنم از جناب حکیم صاحب و دکتر صاحب انوری. با معذرت که اینترنت در اینجا درست کار نکردن، خط وصل شد. ما میخوایم در قسمت ریاست دیاسپورا، چون ریاست جدید و تأسیس بسیار کوتاه مختصر بگویم به خاطر معلومات دوستا. ریاست دیاسپورا در افغانستان اولین بار تقریبا 4-5 ماه پیش توسط حکم جناب رئیس جمهور ایجاد شد در معاونت اول ریاست جمهوری، به خاطر از اینکه ما دیاسپورا را من حیث پل ارتباطی میان افغانستان و کشورهای مقیمی که افغانها در آن زندگی میکنه میپنداریم یا به شمار میاریم. ما دیاسپورا را به عنوان همکار یا حکومت افغانستان دیاسپورا را به عنوان همکار اساسی و تسهیل کننده قابل اعتماد بین کشورهای مقیم که اینا در اونجا زندگی میکنه و افغانستان تلقی میکنیم. با کمک دیاسپورای افغان ما میتونیم که یک افغانستان عاری از خشونت و خودکفا داشته باشیم در آینده. نهادها و شبکه‌های دیاسپورای افغان میتوانند من حیث نماینده منافع افغانستان در کشورهای مقیمشان عمل کنه و پتانسیل فوق‌العاده مؤثر برای کسب حمایت‌های سیاسی و اقتصادی را برای افغانستان داشته باشند و لابیگری بکنند. ما فعلا ریاست دیاسپورایی که در معاونت اول تشکیل شده، ما قبلا برنامه هایی که با جمعی از دیاسپورای مقیم خارج جناب حکیم صاحب و جناب دکتر صاحب ریتا هم داشتیم. ما اینجا یک پالیسی داریم که در پالیسی همه مواردی که برای سهولت ها برای دیاسپورا آن هست در اونجا تشریح شده. ما به خاطر ضیقی وقت نمیخوایم در اون رابطه صحبت های داشته باشم. فعلا که دیاسپورا برای مردم افغانستان مشخصا برای زنها چی میتونه، میخوایم خلاصه بگویم که فعلا افغانستان در یک شرایط جنگی قرار داره. متاسفانه در یک شرایط قرار داره که نیروهای ناتو از افغانستان قرار خارج شود. دیاسپورای افغانستان در کشورهای مقیمشان میتونه یک لابیگر بسیار قوی برای مردم افغانستان باشه و برای صدای زن افغان یک صدای باشه بر بیرون از مرزهای افغانستان. دیاسپورای افغانستان که این میشه برای آمدن یک صلح با عزت و جذب کمک‌های اقتصادی و حمایت‌های سیاسی میتونه دیاسپورای افغان یک رول بسیار مهم و عمده را بازی بکنه. جناب حکیم صاحب پرسیدن که مثلا هدف از تشکیل یا مثلا ریاست دیاسپورا برای چی تشکیل شده. هدف اساسی که ریاست دیاسپورا در افغانستان برای اولین بار توسط حکم جناب رئیس جمهور تشکیل شده ای است که با در نظر داشته تجربیاتی که ما از کشورهای بیرونی مثل اسرائیل، هند و کشورهای دیگر داشتیم که اینا دیاسپورای کشورهای نام برده یا متذکره میتونستن یا میتونن که بسیار نقشی خوب را برای لابیگری در بین کشورهای مقیمشان و کشورهای آباییشان بازی بکنن. از این خاطر ما اهدافی که در پالیسی دیاسپورا یا ریاست دیاسپورا گنجانیده شده ما میخوایم به فهرستوار خدمت دوستای را تشریح بکنم که یکی ایجاد روابط قابل اعتماد بین افغانستان و جمعیت دیاسپورای افغانی می باشه. مهیا نمودن محیط مساعد برای مشارکت دیاسپورای افغان برای توسعه و انکشاف افغانستان است. تقویت جمعیت‌های رسمی دیاسپورای افغان برای تعهد بیشتر، یعنی تقویت دیاسپورا می باشه. حمایت از انسجام زنان دیاسپورای افغان جهت توانمندسازی زنان در افغانستان. وقتی که ما یک مجموعه های از یا شبکه ها یا نهادهای از زنان دیاسپورای افغان در بیرون از افغانستان داشته باشیم، اینا میتونه حامی بسیار قوی برای زنای افغانستان که در دورترین نقطه افغانستان زندگی میکنه میتونه باشه و صدای زن افغان در بیرون از مرزهای افغانستان میتونه اینا بلند بکنه. برای احقاق حقوق زنهای افغانستان میشونه صدای زنان را برای جامعه بین الملل برسانه. حمایت از تحقق چارچوب ملی صلح و انکشاف افغانستان، برنامه‌های اولویت‌های ملی مشخصاً در سکتورهای اقتصاد و صحت و زراعت و منابع طبیعی میتونه باشه. تقویت موقف سیاسی افغانستان توسط دیاسپورای افغان برای دفاع از منافع مردم افغانستان می باشه. ترویج ارزش‌های فرهنگی و زبانی افغانستان در بیرون از مرزهای افغانستان توسط دیاسپورای افغان میتونه که اینا را متبارز بکنه، برآورده تبارز بده و اینا را در بیرون از افغانستان به صورت بسیار پوینت های منفی در بین در کشورهای مقیمی که اینا زندگی میکنن اینا را تبارز بده. این اهداف بسیار به صورت مشخص از ریاست دیاسپورا بود که من خدمت شما گفتم. در قسمت ازی که برای زنا چی میتونه، جناب حکیم صاحب گفتن، من خدمت شما پیشترم گفتم در اهداف ریاست رسیدگی به امور دیاسپورا و در پالیسی هم گنجانیده شده که ما از توقع دولت افغانستان، توقع مردم افغانستان، مشخصا زنای افغانستان از دیاسپورا و مجموعه های زنانی که دیاسپورای افغان در بیرون از افغانستان زندگی میکنن، اینا همهشان تحصیل کرده متخصصین هستند که ما خوشبختانه در جریان 5-6 ماهی که در ریاست دیاسپورا کار میکنیم، بیشترین تماس هایی که ما داشتیم خوشبختانه همراه متخصصین دیاسپورا از قشر زنای افغان بودن. اکثر اینا تخصص بسیار بالا داشتن، در حد دکترا و ماستری داشتن. اینا میتونن که صدای زن افغان در همه موارد در تمام جوامع بیرون از افغانستان بلند بکنه و دستاوردهای چند ساله‌ای که زن افغان در جریان امی جنگ‌های داخلی و طالبانی و پس طالبانی به دست آورده میتونه که اینا را برای حفظ از زنانی که در بیرون از افغانستان دیاسپورای افغان، مشخصا جامعه دیاسپورای زنان افغانستان میشه صدای زن افغان بلند بکنه و برای ازی که دستاوردهای چند ساله حفظ شود. برای ازی ما میتونیم که از اینا کمک بخوایم و در بخش‌های مختلف میتونه دیاسپورای افغان، مشخصا جامعه زن افغان، زنای افغانستان کمک بکنه و در بخش‌های اقتصادی میشه کمک بکنه، در بخش‌های سیاسی میشه کمک بکنه. برای ازی که زن افغان از لحاظ تعلیمی و تحصیلی به یک حد برسه که بتونه برای احقاق حقوق یا حقشان خود از اینا مبارزه بکنه. این میتونه از یکی از روش‌هایی که زن افغان میشه در اینجا تقویه شوه میشه دیاسپورای افغان به عنوان همکار بسیار خوب و اساسی برای زنای افغان اینجا تبارز بکنه.
بسیار زیاد تشکر خانم الخانی. Before I proceed to my next question, I would like to just summarize what Ms. Elkhani just said. So basically, Ms. Elkhani said that there is a policy involved, the diaspora policy that has been based on the order of the government. It has been developed. And what we can do as the Afghan diaspora, Afghan women diaspora for Afghan women, we can lobby for their rights, for women's rights in Afghanistan, and we can be a voice to Afghan women and be a sort of a role model to them. We can also, as an Afghan women diaspora, we can assist them in multiple fields. That includes the politics, the culture, you know, like economically, especially education. Education is one part of the thing that really lacks, and we need to really lift that education level. And also, again, there has been lots of specialists that can really assist Afghan women. Sorry, there's been diaspora specialists that can assist Afghan women in Afghanistan. So that's the gist of the entire response to Ms. Ilkhani. My next question is again to Ms. Ilkhani, and that is, so I'll say it in English first. You have been a member of parliament for 13 years, and recently you visited the families of schoolgirls who were either martyred or wounded due to the triple bomb explosion outside their school in Dashtabashti back in mid-2021, which is this year. As a leader and role model, what would your message be to those girls who have been physically and psychologically affected by this incident and are pessimistic about their future as becoming leaders? So I'll just repeat this in Dari or Persian. خانم خانی شما با ما هستین؟
بله هستم جناب حکیم صاحب.
شما با مدت 13 سال عضو پارلمان بودین و اخیراً و دیدار خانواده‌های دخترانی رفتید که به دلیل انفجار 3 بم در خارج مکتبشان اونا یا زخمی شدن یا شهید شدن. به عنوان یک رهبر و الگو پیام شما برای آن دخترانی که از نظر جسمی و روانی تحت تاثیر این حادثه قرار گرفتن و نسبت به آینده خود یک فکر منفی دارن، آینده خود یعنی مثبت نمی‌کنن، پیام شما بر اونا چیز به حیث یک الگو و رهبر؟
تشکر جناب حکیم صاحب. در افغانستان متاسفانه در این چند سال جنگ هایی که طالبان متاسفانه یک وحشت خلق کردن در افغانستان، هر روز حادثه است در افغانستان. مشخصا راجع به سوال شما، ما حادثات مثل مکتب سید الشهدا را در گوشه گوشه افغانستان متاسفانه داشتیم. دخترها، جوانا، زنا، بچه های ما همیشه متاسفانه شهید میشه. مشخصا راجع به سوال جناب شما جناب حکیم صاحب، بله ما در مکتب سید الشهدا برای دلجویی و کمک و همکاری خانواده شهدا و زخمی ها رفتم. تا هنوزم مصروف هستیم. زخمی هایی که هنوزم صحتیاب نشده اونا را به ترکیه فرستادیم. یک تعداد شد از طرف معاونت اول و از لحاظ روحی صدمه بسیار جدی دیدن. خانواده از اونا از فقیرترین قشر جامعه افغانستان بودن متاسفانه. اما پیام ما برای شاگردای مکتب سید الشهدا نه، بلکه برای تمام دختر خانمایی که در افغانستان درس میخوانه، تلاش میکنه، زحمت میکشه، پیام تلاش و مبارزه است. تلاش به عنوان ازی که تا زمانی که ما درس و تعلیم و علم نیاموزیم کشور ما موفق نخواهد شد. اینا تلاش بکنن که درس بخوانن، بیاموزن، به خاطر انفجار و انتحار وحشی های طالب از درس و تعلیم اینا انگیزه زنا از بین نروند. ما همیشه در خانواده زنان که رفتیم برای زنا گفتیم که یگانه راه مبارزه با خشونت، یگانه راه مبارزه با جهل و جنگ طالب تلاش ما برای یاد گرفتن علم و دانش است و اینا مبارزه بکنه. به خاطر ازی که ما تا زمانی که زن و مرد افغان مبارزه نکنه برای آوردن صلح با عزت در افغانستان ما هیچ وقت موفق نمیشیم. ما از دخترای مکتب سید الشهدا، از تمام خانمایی که در افغانستان مصروف درس و تحصیل هستند با انتحار و انفجار، من مطمئن هستم که اینا هیچ وقت دست از تعلیم و تحصیل بر نمیدارن. اینا مصممتر، مطمئنتر از هر زمان دیگر کرده مصروف تعلیم و تحصیل هستند و خواد بودن. شما شاهد بودین که مکتب سید الشهدا بعد از اینکه مکاتب شروع شدن، همه دختر خانم‌ها شروع آمدن پس به مکتب و من خودم رفتم مکتبم دیدم از نزدیک. یعنی مردم افغانستان، زنان افغانستان با همت و با امو اراده قوی که نسبت به آموزش و درس و تحصیل داره، اینا با این خشونت هایی که از طرف متاسفانه گروه های وحشت و ترور دانش از طرف طالبا ایجاد شده، اینا دست از تعلیم بر نمیدارن. اینا هم به تلاش و مبارزهشان ادامه خواهد دادن و ما هم به عنوان کسی که در پارلمان بودیم، نماینده مردم بودیم و حالا هم در بخش خانم‌ها فعال هستیم، و اینا همیشه توصیه کردیم و تلاش میکنیم که انگیزه های از اینا نسبت به یاد گرفتن علم و دانش و مبارزه برای آمدن صلح با عزت در افغانستان از بین نروند. تشکر.
تشکر بسیار زیاد خانم خانی. I'm just going to interpret or summarize what Mr. Khani just said. Like we have these sort of incidents every day, and some of the martyred ones that were some of the injured ones have been sent to Turkey. For the schoolgirls from that particular school have been sent to Turkey for operations and that. And also they were the poorest part of that area in Kabul. So the message that Mr. Khani has given them is that continue your hard work, never give up, because the only way that you can fight these atrocities is through education, continuing education, and never give up, because we need to bring our education level to the highest level, so we can fight off all these atrocities and all the cruelties that are happening. So it's all through education. We can never give up, but these girls are more determined than ever. And the next day they went to school, even though just a day prior there were 3 bomb explosions, but these girls were so determined that they continued going to school, and they would never give up. So that was the gist of what Mr. Khani just responded. تشکر بسیار زیاد خانم خانی. Thank you very much, Sephora Khani.
تشکر هستم.
Okay. So we'll move on to Munira Yusufzada. Are you on the line?
Yes.
Okay. Salam, Munira, خوش آمدین. First I'm going to ask this, again, I've got to speak in both languages, so I'm going to ask the question in English first, and then I'll interpret it in Dario Persian as well. So as an Afghan woman working with Afghan Defense Army, what was your experience like? What were some of the challenges or problems you faced? Munira Yusufzada, شما میخواین که با فارسی یا داری جواب بدین یا به انگلیسی؟ من میتونم که با فارسی هم ازتون سوال کنم. به عنوان یک زن افغان که با اردوی ملی افغانستان کار میکنین، تجربات شما چی بوده و بعضی از مشکلاتی که شما یعنی دچار شدین چی بوده؟ بله. میشن منیرا جان؟
بله میشنم.
بفرمایید. سوال شنیدین؟
بله شنیدم. بسیار زیاد تشکر. من سلام عرض میکنم خدمت تمام کسایی که حضور دارن در روم و تشکری میکنم خانم ریتا انوری که این پروگرام آماده کردم، از شما هم تشکری میکنم. قسمی که خانم ایلخانی در بخش از صحبت‌هایشان به حیث نماینده مردم و حتما خانم شینکی و خانم بارکزی هم کسایی که سابقه کار بسیار زیاد با زنان افغانستان دارم، من میخوایم فقط خلاصه فوکس کنم روی زنان نظامی در افغانستان. ما در مورد خانمایی که در اردوی ملی افغانستان ایفای وظیفه میکنن میخوایم یک تصویر ارائه بکنم برای شنوندا. تصویر اولی است که شما یک دختر افغان را تصور بکنین که در داخل خانه علیرغم چالش ها کوشش میکنه که درس به خانه و زمانی که درس به اتمام رساند نهایت کوشش هم میکنه که خانواده را به این نتیجه برسانه که اجازه بدن به اونا که در صفوف نیروهای امنیتی و دفاعی بپیونده. در حقیقت من این تصویر به این خاطر گفتم که بیان بکنم که یک خانم افغانی که وارد دور امنیتی میشه چالش هایی از درون خانواده شروع شده تا اجتماعش با او مبارزه میکنه و در آخر با طالب و تروریست مبارزه میکنه که یک روایت قهرمانانه از زنان نظامی ما هستند. آن چیزی که به حیث چالش من میتونم که از خانم‌های نظامی یاد بکنم که خودم 2 سال به حیث معین تعلیمات پرسنل وزارت دفاع ایفای وظیفه کردم، یک به ترتیب اول چالش فرهنگی است. متاسفانه در جامعه ما هنوز پذیرای این نیستن که یک خانم لباس مقدس نظامی رو بپوشه، فعالیت بکنه و در کنار برادرای نظامیش کار بکنه و این بخش این چالشی که متاسفانه در فرهنگ ما وجود داره از درون خانه تا اجتماع تا محل کار هست، خاطر که همکاران هم متشکل از همین اعضای جامعه ما. بحث
someone that you battled them. Nothing.
We ask you to your mic, please.
بله، صدای من داره؟ چالش بعدی چالش امنیتی هست که مشکل امنیتی که خانم‌های نظامی دارن بیشتر از سایر مردها هست، به خاطر که تروریستا و به خصوص طالبان همیشه از شخصیت تاثیرگذار زنان گذشتن و اونها را نمیخواین بپذیرن، بنابراین لباس نظامی پوشیدن برای یک زن را کاملا عیب میدانند و یک چالش های بسیار جدی امنیتی خانم‌های نظامی دارند که ما در وقتی که در شفاخانه‌ای که در دشت برچی حمله شد، یکی از خانم‌های نظامی ما که به خاطر ولادت رفته بود اونجا، اونها رو به طرز فجیعی به شهادت رساندن که وقتی که فهمیدن اون نظامی هست. بحث بعد فضای امن است که یک از چالش هایی است که خانم ها در تمام دنیا با اون مواجه است. در افغانستان هم چنین چیزی است. امنیت وظیفه‌ای که یک خانم نظامی میتونه داشته باشه، متاسفانه به خاطر دیدگاه زن ستیزانه و دیدگاه مرد سالارانه در تمامی ابعاد مختلف جامعه ما باعث میشه که فضای امن از او تا حد زیادی گرفته بشه. بحث آخر بحثی هستش که چطور یک خانم نظامی میتونه مسئولیت‌ها و صلاحیت‌های برابر با یک مرد نظامی را داشته باشه که یا چالش هایی است که نه تنها در سکتور امنیتی بلکه در تمام نهادهای حکومتی و غیر حکومتی موجود است که شخصیت تاثیرگذار یک زن را مطابق توانایی‌هاش او را بپذیرند. در 20 سال اخیر خوشبختانه علیرغم چالش هایی که موجود بوده، زنان دستاوردهای بسیار خوبی را در سکتور امنیتی داشته که حضور زنان در کماندو، حضور زنان به حیث پیلوت، حضور زنان در بخش‌های لوجستیکی و اداری، که همه اینها نشان میده که خانم‌های نظامی علیرغم چالش‌ها و مشکلات نهایت کوشش کردند که بتوانند مسئولیت‌های برابر با مردان را در حفظ تمامیت ارضی افغانستان داشته باشند. اما قسمی که اشاره شد، ما به طرف صلح میریم. متاسفانه دیدگاه غالب طالبان در مورد زنان همون دیدگاه گذشته هست و بازی با کلمات است و برای زن با قرائت نادرست خودشان از دین میخواین حق قائل شوند. آن چیزی که باعث نگرانی برای زنان نظامی بود و بارها از من میپرسیدن نقش اونها پس از صلح چی است؟ آیا فضا و جامعه این اجازه را به اونها میده که دوباره لباس نظامی بپوشن و در کنار برادرایشان فعالیت داشته باشند؟ شعاری که ما چندین کمپاین نداشتیم، بحثی که زنان به عقب بر نمیگردن، در بین زنان افغانستان تبدیل به یک تعهد شده. سوال اینجاست که آیا جامعه جهانی، کشورهای تمویل کننده، کسانی که با حمایت از حقوق زن با وارد اونها هم روی موضوع حضور زنان تاکید زیاد داشتن، اونها هم این تعهد دارن که در کنار زنان افغانستان بایستن و نگذارن که گذشته سیاه تکرار شود؟ این سوالی هست که من امیدوار هستم که دوستایی که از پارلمان استرالیا هستن جواب بدن و یک پیام دلگرم کننده را برای خانم ها به خصوص خانم های نظامی داشته باشند، به خاطر که دولت استرالیا یکی از حامیان اردوی افغانستان بوده، چی در بخش ارتقای ظرفیت، چی در بخش حمایت از زنان. به او خاطر ما امیدوار هستیم که نتیجه این جلسه یک پیام امیدبخش برای خانم های نظامی باشد. تشکر.
تشکر بسیار زیاد خانم یوسف زاده. My next question is to Luke Gosling. Are you there, Luke? Hello?
I think I'm unmuted now.
Hi, Luke. So my next question is to yourself. You're an Australian politician and a retired Australian Army officer. Now that the Australian Embassy is closed in Afghanistan, what do you think the future holds for Afghan women, especially those who are working on the front line?
Assalamu alaikum to everyone, and it's been great to listen to the presenters. I couldn't understand some of it, but I'm sure you'll be able to give me a summary afterwards so I can represent the concerns of those women on this call, and thanks for organising it. I've worked in Afghanistan a couple of times to do with election monitoring, and was always very impressed, even in the early days in about 2003, with the calibre of Afghan women leaders. And even though it was early days, the determination to strike out into professional roles and to assume their rightful place in Afghan society. And when I got to know a couple of the people who are working with the UN, a couple of the young women who are working with the UN, I heard a lot of stories from them about the lengths that their parents had gone in order to make sure that they had that these young women had some sort of education. So I've just wanted to say that I've got a great deal of respect for the strength and the resilience of Afghan women. I'm very supportive of the Australian government doing more to assist civil society, NGOs, to provide pathways for more learning, higher learning, but also better protection of them by staying the course. I'm not a member of Parliament from the ruling coalition government, but I have been speaking in the Australian Federal Parliament about our need not to cut and run from Afghanistan. I think it sent a very poor message to shut down our embassy so quickly without maintaining confidence in our ongoing involvement in peace building and nation building in Afghanistan. And I, with some others on this forum, have been maintaining that we need to do more to safeguard those that are at risk, particularly those that work with our Australian peace builders, peace enforcers, militaries, diplomats over the years. So I'm really on this forum to listen and to learn, but you can be assured that I'll continue in our Australian Federal Parliament to be a voice for a witness through your experiences to the situation faced by Afghan women and professional people in particular who are likely to be targeted by a resurgent Taliban, and to continue to push the federal government and to work with civil society organisations like Rotary to ensure that we continue to provide opportunities for Afghan women, as I mentioned, because without Afghan women being safe and secure in following these opportunities, I sincerely believe that peace in Afghanistan has no chance. But I believe that we can and should do more, and I'll be continuing to work towards that.
Thank you very much, Luke. In terms of saying Australia should assist Afghans more in terms of education and, you know, in terms of NGOs as well, assisting NGOs to assist our Afghans. Like, what do you think about what could Australia do to help Afghan women, especially especially women in the military?
Was that women in the military, sorry?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Australia can be proud of the work that our advisors did at Karga, at NOAA, over the years in developing the Afghan, or being part of the development of the Afghan security forces, which are of a much higher standard, I think, now after the last 10 years than they had been previously. I think that there will be and I know some of these Australian Army female officers personally, that will feel a connection and a want to make sure that we're providing support, advice, mentoring, and development in the coming years. I'm not exactly sure how that, what processes are already in place, because, as I said, I'm not in the government, but with our friends here on this call, we'll make sure that those questions are asked of the government, and any suggestions that you've got about how that can be done, I'm happy to obviously give those suggestions to the government.
Thank you very much, Luke, for that answer. Our next question is to Shinkai Karoche. Are you on the line?
Yes, I am on the line.
Hi. So just a question to yourself. You're the former ambassador of Afghanistan to Canada. So as a women's rights activist and former Afghan ambassador to Canada, you have seen both worlds, East and West. Since the last 40 years, Afghan women have been lobbying for change, but with very little ear being lent to them. From your dual perspective, what can be done to change such reluctance or carelessness towards women and their rights in Afghanistan?
Thank you, Senior John. I'm currently a member of the Afghan Parliament, for your information. This is my third term in Parliament. I'm representing Kabul province. Let me thank you, you and Ms. Rita Anwari, for organizing this virtual meeting, and it's very much important, because after closing the Australian embassy in Afghanistan, really it's create more concern and fear among Afghan women, especially among Afghan women. Because I think at the moment, only women are very much concerned about the political future of this country, as well as for their future in Afghanistan. Because it seems that slowly, international community start to abandon Afghan women. So by having this tonight or today's conversation and meeting, I think once we want to remind, especially Afghan diaspora in Australia, how they could, like, I think their role will be more meaningful at the moment. I think we really need this role to work and and stay in touch. And of course, we are living in a society that is very mal-dominated. We're living in a society which mostly the warlord or the decision maker, and the country which is more than 40 years still in a conflict and insurgency we are living. But beside that, still women are much stronger, they're much loud, and they are a very strong advocate always. They are very much outspoken, and I think at the moment, they are only the people who are really concerned what will happen. So and of course, whenever it's like the important national issue, only men think that they are important and they have the right to make a decision. Unfortunately, our international partner and supporter also they think only that this few warlords, which apparently they are running or representing different ethnic groups or political parties, they are the people who can make a decision. So that's why half of the reality of this country, which are women, are totally abandoned or ignored. If women are taken in any process, just like still they are believed on tokenism, and they think, well, just how to satisfy the women of Afghanistan and how to shut their mouth and also convince or satisfy the international community. Women are there, so they are choose women. Anyway, so why nobody's like listening to us and what to do to listen? Of course, like one of the roles they can play, women inside Afghanistan. Let me tell you, some of the women politicians, your political activists, and civil society activists are very strong, they are very united, they are very committed to talk about, to raise their voice and to have their proposal for international community and ask them to stand with the people of Afghanistan. Support the people of Afghanistan through supporting the current government of Afghanistan. Because most of the, like Indian Americans say, well, we were supporting the people of Afghanistan. So this is the important at the moment, how to support it. But I think we have to, beside all this, maybe some of the shortcomings, maybe some of the weaknesses the current government has, I think we need to support the current government, because if you do not support the current government, it means we are like providing ground to how to restore Islamic Emirates back in Afghanistan, which is not acceptable, especially for the women of Afghanistan. So that's very much important. Second thing, I think our defense and security sector will be supported by international community, and how this Afghan diaspora can strongly advocate, and how you can form a very strong lobby group in Australia to work with your respective government, to work with your political parties and parliament that support the defense and security sector of Afghanistan. Because our defense sector not only defending Afghanistan to stabilize, but also fighting against the international terrorism to make the world safer for everyone. So how to maintain this mission, I think we need international community become a very strong partner with our defense and security sector. Third issue, which is really diaspora can help, and how to make our voice to be heard, that work with your government to maintain this development fund for Afghanistan, especially also work with a civil society organization, because they have a very strong networks. They have lots of good projects for women's empowerment, for women's education, for women's health issue, for women's economic empowerment. I think, which I heard for other day from one of the women organization, which was the funding was pledged by Australian government, and so far is pending. So this kind of pending should be removed. I think release this funding for civil society organizations so they can parallel work with the government of Afghanistan to provide services and work for the people of Afghanistan, especially target women of Afghanistan is important. Another issue is how this Afghan diaspora closely observe or like watch this peace process. Work with your government to help Afghanistan and pressurize those who are giving support to Taliban and maintaining proxy war in Afghanistan, because we have to go for peace process. We have to stop a conflict and war in Afghanistan, because people need to live in a peaceful environment. Taliban, I think they want to maintain insurgency in Afghanistan, increase conflict in Afghanistan. I think that's more than enough to support Taliban. I think Taliban should be pressurized enough to go for ceasefire and come to the table of negotiation. Another issue which is very much important, that our voice should be heard, that we are not actively enough involved in this peace process. We want more engagement a meaningful and very active engagement. This peace process is very much important. Not only like a many men, only 2 or 3 women. That cannot like a strongly represent. We need a stronger and more quality-wise. Also, we need, beside the quantity, quantity both are important. We need a bigger representation to. At the end, we want to make a decision for our future. I think no one is allowed to make a decision for women of Afghanistan. So this peace process should be really inclusive, because we believe women can speak for the family of victims, women can speak for the youth of Afghanistan, women can speak for the women of Afghanistan. I think we want to preserve all this achievement which we made so far. So that's why women's more representation, active involvement is very much important. So be the louder voice and very much supportive. And honestly, one more, the last request, don't maintain the dirty politics sometimes exists, because we will witness what happened in America. And some people just came around and wants to use bad words to the president of Afghanistan or some other. So some other politics, dirty politics exists in Afghanistan that shouldn't be maintained with Afghan diaspora. So that's why Afghan diaspora just think how they can support first Afghanistan, secondly, the women of Afghanistan, and be strong lobbyists for the best interest of women of Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shinkai. Absolutely, supporting your government is the way to success. I 100% agree with you. And also, I also hear you that we make up 50% of the population, and we should have a say in every policy or every constitution. And we should also be involved in peace process, because us females are the ones who are bringing children to the future society. So we must be involved in every process. Thank you very much, Shinkai, for your response. Before I move on to our next speaker, I would like to say that our audience would like to ask multiple questions. However, what I would like to do is ask our panelists questions and then hear their responses, and then you could wait until the end, and then you could ask your questions. You will have a chance to ask your questions, and then each one of them will be able to respond to you. Thank you very much for your patience. So my next question is to Shukriya Boriksai. Are you on the line?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us. And these questions to yourself. Post the fall of Taliban, you were the first woman in Afghanistan parliament speaking up and raising your voice against millions of men. What changes did you face as a woman working in parliament shoulder to shoulder with men, and what did you do to overcome those challenges?
I think every Afghan woman have, and every woman around the globe have the courage to stand for the values they believe in. Of course, I think it's the time to break the taboos and bring the real picture of whom exactly we are, and especially how we can represent ourselves as a responsible citizen. And I believe the women of Afghanistan, we women in Afghanistan, or doesn't matter, out of Afghanistan, we are facing different challenges than other women in the globe. For us, of course, male-dominated society, custom and tradition, wrong interpretation from the Islam and Sharia, and the lack of trust, and unfortunately, the lack of self-confidence among women are the biggest challenge and concern. Standing for new values and raising up your voice is not really easy. You have to accept thousands or millions kinds of label that they are labeling you and naming you with different things, but that's important, how you keep your faith and your strength and you find the right path to walk on. I believe that despite of all the challenge we women are facing in Afghanistan, this is very important what we achieved. I don't want to talk about, let's say, those a difficult time I had, because having a modern idea in such a dark society, especially after collapse of Taliban, and the only female without burqa walking on the street, and during the Taliban as well, I was here and I was having a underground school. It's very hard for me to see, after all 23 years journey, I spend my lifetime and golden years of my life, I'm exactly from the beginning of the same line that I crossed. That I thought I'm just, the future of other girls are safe. And now it's exactly, I'm seeing that the other day, it was very disappointing. It was a report, women in the northern part of the country, those controlled by Taliban, they order again exactly the same as 25 years ago. They ordered that women are not allowed to go out without burqa. They have to cover themselves, without male member family. And of course, the schools and everything shut down for the girls again. So that's exactly the time where I start. When they beat me on the street, I don't want anyone else to be beating on the street, or when they attack a car bomb on me. I believe today Afghanistan is much different than Afghanistan Taliban came. I mean, 1994 or 5 or 6 or 7. It's 2021. Even much different 2001 when the Taliban left. So in that period of 2 decades, a lot of comes. First, we have the large number of great women and girls and younger generation and even men that they believe equality, justice. And they've been well educated and they represent the church. They are not anymore marginalized from the entire world. For instance, when I grown up, I had to see the state TV during the Dr. Najib or before. Let's say they call it politically Soviet time, which is, I don't like it to call it Soviet time, but anyway, the government which is supporting by Soviet Union. And we have a different type of lifestyle than now. And I live a bit of remembering the golden years of Afghanistan when it becomes republic, because I start my days of schools at that time. It's like 3 different Afghanistan or 4 different Afghanistan in the almost near 50 years of my life that I was been traveling through to. I mean, my life journey. But today is much different. It's absolutely different. Different than before. I think Afghan women are in the front line, and plus the Afghan people. Still, we are fighting for sovereignty, for our identity. The most important, I think, we would like to have our identity, not apart from Afghan society, but beside of that, or with the Afghan people, we would like to be recognized politically, economically, socially, and emotionally. So we have to, because we are a reality in this country. And I think women did a great job. I remember the struggle I had during the constitution. Drafting constitution for a country like Afghanistan wasn't a piece of cake. It takes so long to fight and to have a conversation and make your friends to be ready to put all those beautiful articles, which is today we had in the Afghan constitution, not only for the profit of Afghan women, but to recognizing civil rights and fundamental rights as a most important tool of the constitution, or equality, or different religion to be recognized in different languages and of Afghanistan, plus different ethnicity, or the system of power sharing in Afghanistan, special quotas, reserved seats for women in Afghanistan, and freedom of expression. Those are those things that that journey I learned, and I struggled for it. Despite of all the challenges that still I'm facing, not only me, I think Afghans themselves, I think we are not the people to give up. We are not the one to say, okay, guys, okay, Taliban, terrorist and today a good negotiator for peace and reconciliation, please come. I believe that this land and country belong to us, and it's our duty and responsibility. The journey was difficult, but still is not yet end. I think till I'm alive, I will continue that, but I hope with a different shape, with a better result. But when it comes to the Afghan women, I can see a lot of differences. We are not alone anymore. We are not marginalized anymore. We have our own voice, despite of who is listening to us and who's not. We are the reality in our society, in our community. And we change finally with a very hard work, with a lot of sacrifice, with a great time that we spend on to break taboos. So today, the women in Afghanistan is not only a success story for everyone, but we are in every corner and every layer of the state and government and non-governmental organizations. So I think that is building civil society and having still media and women faces on the media. I think that's a great achievement. We shouldn't be that much weak to think that we will lose everything or everything will go through to the ocean when Taliban came. How much and how many they are? I think that's more than enough if, let's say, 10% of Afghan women stand and say, we will beat them. I think each Talib will have more than 110 women with, let's say, kitchen equipment to welcome them. When I say welcome them, it's on a special way of welcoming them, not for power sharing, but for the special type of recognition. Why I say that, although I am personally against all kind of violence, but when it comes, no one respect the human rights, women's rights. No one is ready to believe the differences of opinion and respect the ethnicity and different religion, and plus minorities in Afghanistan. So Afghanistan may not accept them, because I believe they are the most marginalized group. All those terrorist groups that they're activating right now, they don't like to see women empowerment. They don't want to see Afghan civil society. They don't want to have, or they don't want to see, or they want to keep the, let's say, their promises as they are writing and signing on the international documents, that they will respect the human rights and freedom of expression and etc. I think we have a great lesson from our history, and I believe that the Afghan women is not anymore as we was in 20 years back. So we are different than before, but of course the challenges greater than before and more difficult than before. But we are also get more stronger than before. So we are not anymore unexperienced one. We are not fighting alone anymore. I believe I can see shoulders from men and women, international and locals, that if we raise our voice, they will stand with us. And that's the great difference in the last 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shukriya. That's an amazing and inspirational message. Thank you very much. And I'm sure there are many young females out there who are seeing yourself as their role model. Thank you very much for that. So our next speaker is Jason Skenes. So do we have Jason online?
Yes.
Hi, Jason.
Assalamu alaikum.
My next question to yourself is, you've worked in Afghanistan for quite some time now, and you did form a friendship and have great connection with former guards and interpreters back in Afghanistan. Now that the Australian embassy is closed in Afghanistan, what do you think future holds for them over there?
Yeah, look, obviously the very abrupt closure of the Australian embassy in Afghanistan was a bit of a surprise, I think, for many. And I think there are probably great implications for that, and concerns rightly held by a number of people here in Australia and indeed across across the globe in regards to this. And you know, one of the things that I think I would really like to press upon is that we're really facing a human issue, and I don't like to genderize issues, but I think it's really a human issue and an education issue. And you know, obviously my concerns about the abrupt closure and the resurgent Taliban, you know, contesting areas in Afghanistan at the moment are quite concerning, particularly because women are one of the most, I suppose, targeted genders in Afghanistan. And there's many challenges facing women, I think, moving forward. They're not insurmountable. You know, and what I have learned from my time in Afghanistan and serving in other countries like the Sinai, West Bank and Gaza and those places is that, you know, those individuals are very resilient groups. They're very tough, and they will continue to fight on. And I think there has been significant gains made in the last 2 decades of the coalition's presence there. But I believe there's a lot of concern that those gains that were made we may be taking backward steps in regards to those, and so that's quite concerning. You know, women I think make up around 1.5% of Afghan national security forces at the moment across Afghanistan. That's around 4,000 Afghan women. So that's quite concerning that there's very low numbers there, but there is still a presence, an Afghan woman presence there, and we do have great opportunities, I think, moving forward for Afghan women. From my organisation's perspective, Forsaken Fighters, we're fighting for the Afghan interpreters and local guards that are at significant risk of harm due to their service to coalition forces in our efforts in Afghanistan. And, you know, part of that is their family unit. And when we talk about the family unit, we're talking about the wives, we're talking about the young girls, their daughters, and those type. And they face many issues, those that remain in Afghanistan and those that are brought here to Australia as well. And to give you an example of a young girl here in Australia that we've brought to Australia, her father was one of the longest serving interpreters for coalition forces in Afghanistan. And when she arrived here in Australia, they got her birth date wrong on her when they transferred her tazkira across to a passport. And the difference in Australia for age is quite significant. It doesn't mean a lot in Afghanistan, but in Australia it does. It's a difference between being able to drive or not be able to drive, to vote or not vote, the difference between high school and primary school. And so there's a lot of implications with getting things like that wrong, even just by 1 year in maturity levels. So this young girl was brought here 3 years ago. She's now 3 years older in a public school, and she's struggling every day. And she's now in a special class with older males in a public schooling system that is not looking after them. And I have great concerns about those young Afghan girls that are brought here at a certain age. This young girl was around 13 when she was brought here, so she didn't have an education in Afghanistan. And we bring them here and we dust our hands off and we think that our work is done. And she, you know, she is so depressed. She's a beautiful 15-year-old Afghan girl. She's so depressed. She doesn't want to go to school anymore. You know, she threatens self-harm. There's significant issues there for young girls, even when they are brought here to Australia. So that's one of the issues that I'd like to see tackled. And obviously, there are many opportunities in which we can engage with schools and other groups, which we're going to be reaching out and trying to engage to address some of those issues with government here in Australia as well. So the issues are, you know, they're not just there in Afghanistan for the Afghan women. It's even once we've relocated them here to Australia. And obviously the Afghan wives of the interpreters that are brought over also face significant issues because the majority of them don't speak or read or write English. So they're having issues here in Australia as well. So I have grave concerns, I suppose, that the Australian government could be doing a lot more in assisting those that we do bring here to make sure that they do have a prosperous life here in Australia, one that they're contributing members of our society, and one where they have a future. And hopefully, you know, we end up with educated individuals like Rita that are passionate about their country of origin, that are then able to engage back and give back to their country of origin through their education that they've gained in other places. So that's about all I have, and I'm happy to take any questions on that. But certainly I did a lot of time in Afghanistan and other areas, and I have a great experience and I suppose love for those areas and the people there as well. So.
Thank you very much, Jason. You've really encapsulated that really well. The fact that you said not only we have to provide safe haven to interpreters and guards back in Afghanistan when they do come in, we've got to also focus on areas such as socialization and mental well-being in general. So thank you very much. Those are the two areas that should be focused on when they do come here. Thank you.
Thank you. That's your call.
So our next question is to Jawed Sangder. Are you online, Jawed Sangder?
Very good afternoon. I'm here.
Good afternoon to yourself as well. Thank you very much for joining us. You're the president of UMass Swiss University. As a senior academic, you have educated many Afghan students with high level of academic achievements. What is your vision of future politics in Afghanistan, especially the role of women in politics and in frontline?
Very good afternoon, dear participants and all colleagues. I think now we are in very big challenge for all society, not only for women in Afghanistan. This challenge and problem came from three parts. The first part is our partner. If we listen to their speech and decision, this means they're trying to lift us without any condition. If you see the speech and listen to Joe Biden last time, he mentioned the futures, you must take decision for your future, and we think it's difficult for you. This means the Afghan people, they're in first line of international tourism in Afghanistan. And in the other hand, we have the problem of inside of Afghanistan. There's no a clear policy for women development for today and tomorrow. Why I'm speaking tomorrow? Because it's very important. If you invest now, maybe you can transfer the values for tomorrow, girls and women. The third part is about regional issues that we have that cannot allow us to go faster in progress in different kind of activities, education. And the international community, they close their eyes and they support all these countries against us. And I think there's three major challenges we have. Regarding your question about the women and girls in Afghanistan, of course, they have a lot of motivation for learning and particularly for economic development, political development in Afghanistan. But the global issues that we have, we don't think that we can continue with courage to send the professors from Europe and to help this one, because the global situation of Afghanistan is very dark. We don't know what happened tomorrow. And the international community, our international partner, they don't have any vision for these issues. That it's not issues of Afghanistan, it's a global issues, which is we are in the first line in Afghanistan. I hope the leaders of global world, especially the United States, they rethink about their decision. Otherwise, this problem maybe we create a big problem at medium, at long term for the global world, as we know in the 11th September. I'm worried about that, not only about the give the facility or support the Afghan women, but the problem is very, very bigger than we think. It's just only women. If the situation is continued by this way, we can support some women in big city like Kabul, like Iraq, like Mazar. But what happened in other provinces of Afghanistan that women doesn't have access for education, for some job, some discriminations. And the last point that I'm so worried about women in Afghanistan, there's no leadership for women that can support all Afghan women. Each woman in Afghanistan, they try to get a position. When they have some position, they're totally silent about the interests of 50% of the society. If we have a leader, a woman, inside or outside, that they can support all Afghan women. In this case, maybe they can get some advantage, economic advantage, political advantage, not for them, but for society. If we take the population of Afghanistan off, this means 50% of the female, but it's a real leadership crisis for women. And I hope they will be find one day a leader that they can support all women in Afghanistan. And just as diaspora, last time I said it a letter to President Ashraf Ghani that we can support 100,000 Afghan society for free education by distance, because we developed the last technology that you can learn without internet and without electricity, especially for the province inside of the country. But we didn't receive any answer from them. That's mean it's a clear lack of objective and vision for not only women development, but a global development for Afghanistan.
On that note, could I ask you, why do you think women leaders, once they obtain those positions, they go silent? Why do you think that is so?
I think in our country, you know, we just, if you get something, you're silent for others. We're never trying to support the country. For that, if you see maybe some women, they are already in good position, but when they come in position, they're totally silent. Totally silent. There's no way of ask why other women in other province, why the salary of teacher in Afghanistan is $200, $150. How you can develop a country that your lecturers, your professors, your teachers, their salary is about $150, $200, but their expenses $500. This means a society can develop only with quality education, with support of lecturers in our children. How you can believe a country that our children today, they don't have access to school. They work in the market. And this means how you will have a strong future that all our children, maybe 35% of the population, they don't have access for education because they will take the leadership tomorrow. But if we don't offer now to them some quality education, access to education, what's the future? The future starts now. If you don't want to invest now, there's no future, because everything starts from now. All problems that we have today, economically, socially, politically, it's because of yesterday. Because if we work it yesterday, well, maybe we didn't have any problem today. If we work today, we have a clear and sustainable future for tomorrow. We don't know about the future. As a scholar, professor, I don't know the future of my country. You maybe don't know the future of the country. Even our president, they don't know, he doesn't know what will happen in the future, because we are working for daily, not for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And that's a big challenge of that maybe culture, also the leadership, that we don't care about the future. We are working for now, and we don't know what happened tomorrow. And we are waiting for others that they will take decision for us, and for our children. It's a shame for leadership.
Thank you very much. They say, take care of now and future will take care of yourself. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. My next question to yourself is, since you teach leadership and entrepreneurship, is education the only tool that can assist women gain high professions and overcome the challenges that frontline Afghan women are facing today? Or is there more to it?
The problem of education in Afghanistan, we don't have a real policy for education because everything is managed by the Minister of Higher Education. And if you go in this ministry, there's a lot of problem for education, what exactly we need in the market. We just create the program without any analysis of the need. But when you propose the new ideas in the minister, they mention, no, it's not our priority. The problem of like diaspora, we mentioned, there's a lot of experts of diaspora that they can help in this two major problems, leadership and entrepreneurship. Because if you have entrepreneur, you have a well economy. If you don't have entrepreneur, there's no economy. For example, I created a book that I call 5 E's of Javed Sangdel for the global leaders. In this 5 E's, we mentioned first is esteem, love, passion for country. If you don't have esteem for your country, you cannot develop your country. The second is education. If you don't have a policy for education, you cannot make your future. The third is energy. We don't have electricity at our capital. We don't have energy for our industry. The fourth is entrepreneurs. If you have entrepreneurs, you have the future. And the last one is economic. If you respect all these 5, maybe you will become a greatest country. Like Switzerland. I'm living in Switzerland, Geneva. Is one of the poorest countries in the world. We don't have any natural resources. But they invest in this 5 E's, they become a great country with 700 billion GDP. This means 25% of all African countries, 54 countries. This means we didn't have this 5 E's in Afghanistan. The moment that we have this 5 E's, you will see we will be like other countries because still is love, country, people, and society, and education, energy, entrepreneurs, and equity. I hope one day we will have this 5 E's and help all society, not only the women in Afghanistan.
It would be great to, of course, you're hoping for that. It would be great to have your input as a diaspora into all these 5 areas that you mentioned, love of the country, education, energy, entrepreneurship, and economy. Thank you very much, but definitely looking forward to working with you as a diaspora. Thank you.
Just for your information, we sent a lot of letters to the government, but without any answer.
One day it will be, yeah, we'll get there. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm looking at my list. Okay, so the next question is to Shakila Zadran Hamidi, who's the founder of Read to Lead Afghanistan organization. Do we have Shakila on the line? Shakila? Rita John, do you know if Mr. Hamidi has joined us?
I think she sent excuse.
So thank you very much. Thank you.
And also Zora John as well.
Sure. So thank you very much for that. Now, last but not least, now we come to Rita John. So my final questions to yourself, as a founder and director of Women Empowerment and Leadership Association, we have been organizing webinars on different topics for the last 15 years. What are you trying to achieve by setting up these webinars, and what is your aim?
First of all, I would like to pay my respects and honor to my great friends and colleagues in here, especially my favorite ladies, and give their time to be with us tonight. Dr. Kay Omar, she's here with us. Thank you so much. And also my few favorite ladies, actually, Shukriya Baraksai and Shinkai Karukhel, and also a very hardworking woman, Safra Al Khan, and very young politician and also hardworking lady. She's Monira Jan, and of course my good friend Jason, Lux, and respectful Dr. Javed Sangdil, and our good friend Babakar Khil. Basically, last couple of months, actually, or putting this way, when we heard the Afghanistan situation is going in process of very difficult ways. I can't say it down, but it's a difficult way to women can raise their voice. Basically, my knowledge or understanding in Afghanistan in the last 40 years, we just divided for the 20 years. So the 20 years we keep putting our voice up. Women is getting raped, women is getting executing in public, and also devaluing at work, sexual harassment, everything. And at the international level, there's things happening, but not that much as we looking for. So if as an international organization, we getting together and asking our good friend as a politician come to Afghan, not just only in Afghanistan, in the country, wherever country we live, in America, Germany, or Europe, get them to come together and you talk about the weaknesses, what is happening in Afghanistan, and why these things is not happening. Why is we can't minimizing this the problem? And this is the way I think is best way to organizing webinary or conferences, and we can invite a parliamentary from Afghanistan when we can speak together, and especially what Dr. Sangdelzi pushed out, but he just mentioned the questions like in Afghanistan, we're looking a great woman leader to speak up. Of course, everybody want to be a leader, but we want a great leader to speak out on behalf of our young women. I'm an age of like late 30, but it's still I'm calling as a young mom, looking for someone to lead me to help other women in Afghanistan. We need more women from Afghanistan government to speak up. We can pass the message in the country like Afghanistan, which had a big role in Afghanistan government, which is the time is in last 20 years. I think if my brother can mute their microphone, I can speak louder. Mohammed Qadir, can you please mute your speaker?
John, can you mute him from your end? I think you've got that.
Yes. Apologize for instruction. So this is I come with this idea. If we can have like a once a month or more often this sort of program for our Afghan audience and also our friend back in Australia. As I say, Jason has mentioned, we have got a Afghans been here for the last couple of years in Australia. They have got so much obstacle in their life, and they can't speak English. They've got a problem with lots of other documents in here. So we can pass up questions back to the friends living in Afghanistan. So how we can help these people back in Australia. And as I say, with my friends back in here and from Australian government and back to Parliament, our message need to go back to an Australian government. They give us that much courage to Afghan women can stand on their feet to become politician. They can stand, they raise their voice there in the government and also become ambassador, everything. But right now they leave us, they're closing the door and turn off the light and going back to their country. Why is that? Afghanistan, they expect them to help them out. So our message needs to go back to an Australian parliament. They need to hear our voice. Afghan women need their support, especially right now. We don't want to talk, we want action basically, because right now, Afghan women, they're in first line. If we, I'm just saying like I'm not sure how I have to put it in English, like we say, if Taliban has come up, where women is in the risk. Where women is the risk. Those women is like working with the government, the doctor, engineer, or the teacher, their lives in risk. What they're thinking, this woman is working, got a connection with the government. The government is basically part of America. They need to be slaughtered. So this is how we're facing. In 1992, when I left Afghanistan, when this actually the government is going to change, and at the time, my experience, I was a little girl, that experience in my, it's coming as a memory. This is what we see in the future. Of course, our good friend, Shukriya Barakzai, she mentioned we are Afghan womanists and not the womanists of yesterday. We are strong enough. We can hear our, we can shout enough to hear our voice. But if international level don't hear our voice, they keep ignoring us. We need to shout louder. We need a friend from Afghanistan government, like from parliament, to come and join us, and we help them, they help us. And that's why our good friend Kate is here, Jason is here, Luke is here, to take the message back to the Australian government. They're not doing enough job what we're looking for. There's Australian former guard or former working in embassy, their life is at risk in Afghanistan. Is years and years we shouting our voice to get their visa. Jason's managed to get 40 of them in a couple of weeks, and also we're still working on that, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough. They send, we're calling our soldier because I'm Australian Afghan, our soldier back in Afghanistan. And we lost over 40 Australian soldiers back in Afghanistan. We don't know for what. And that's the question they need to answer right now. We've got lots of things to speak up, but I think this is not enough time. But my purpose is the aim. I want to get it from our friend to come join us from Afghanistan Parliament, Afghanistan government. We like our friend from Australian government to join together to loudly, we can scream, the Australian government can hear our voice. We need help. Don't leave us in there somewhere which is in the middle of the nowhere. We don't know the future of Afghanistan. I know there's a most problem is happening because, as Dr. Sangdel mentioned, the things didn't happen yesterday, but today is we going through to this obstacle. But what we have to do for tomorrow, we need to raise our voice to those friends that can hear our voice and makes a difference. That was my purpose for this sort of webinar I'm putting through. So as women empowerment leadership, the last couple of years, they've been trying to help Afghanistan through to vaccine, through to helping education. I've personally offered 35 PhD scholarship for Afghanistan, 5 diplomat Afghanistan studying in Australia right now, and we are recruiting. We're trying to change by education to have a better education, better people with knowledge back in Afghanistan by PhD and masters to have a bit different vision. But right now the time is very critical. This is not good enough. We need to raise our voice through to media, through to our good friend, whoever country is at, in Australia, America, back to Germany, whoever has got a connection in the government, they need to bring them up and hear our voice. That's my mission. I hope I haven't speak loud enough to hear my friend.
Thank you very much. Absolutely, Little John. I agree with you. Honestly, you're an amazing lobbyer with an amazing vision. Keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing. Thank you very much, Little John. So I have no more questions to our panelists this evening. I would like to thank every single one of you for your time, for expressing your opinions, and for enlightening us with your invaluable advice, experiences, and expertise.
I think we've got Patrick there waiting for us. Sorry. We've got Patrick.
Oh, sorry.
I think we've got Patrick waiting for us.
Oh, was Patrick replacing Luke?
He's waiting for us, but I think he...
Okay, we can ask him the same question as we asked Luke. I think Luke has left. From your, Luke, my apologies. From your perspective, what can diaspora from Australia do to help alleviate some of the challenges Afghan women are facing?
Good evening, Sonia. Thank you for the opportunity. Look, I have a few comments, and they answer your question perhaps in a roundabout way. But let me start by saying salam alaikum and good evening to fellow confreres. and thanking Rita for the opportunity to join this wonderful meeting of minds amid what are very turbulent times for Afghanistan. I had the honour of living as a guest in Afghanistan during 2011 and 12 in the Kabul suburb of Shari now. And I was the employee of a construction company under contract to the Australian government, and I held the position of facilities manager to the Australian Embassy. My life in Kabul as a private contractor allowed me the freedom to develop many professional and personal relationships with colleagues, business associates, and community, many of which I maintain to this day. And I must say, I consider them a blessing and a privilege, as Afghanistan, despite its many problems, is one of the most, at least in my opinion, most unique and culturally rich nations on God's earth. In addressing this subject, the meeting, there's the challenges that the wonderful, strong women of Afghanistan face in trying to shape the future of the nation and the role the diaspora play in this struggle. I'd just like to give a little bit of historical context in terms of Australia. I think we're all aware that the Afghan Cameleers who came to Australia in the 1860s played a major role in establishing a south to north supply and communications route through the deserts of Central Australia. And this was the beginning of the relationship between our two nations, and I must say, a vital step in the growth of Australia. And it's also highlighted one of the unique capacities of the Afghan people, which is that of complete self-reliance, living and working in arid places, among other many self-reliant skills. And if we fast forward to today, we see many Afghan migrants in Australia engaging actively in all business sectors, not-for-profit organisations, and also socially and politically. The Islamic faith is also active in supporting the Australian Afghan community, and it constructively engages with the wider Australian monotheistic religious community to promote interfaith dialogue and also to support charity, which has been very important in terms of development for Afghanistan. With the opportunity for further growth upon these foundations, I believe that the way forward for Afghan diaspora, particularly women, is to engage Australian business. There's opportunities for constructive growth through exchanges of skills, and particularly in these sectors, I'd just like to highlight so that people can think about it as an opportunity. One is agriculture, particularly in dryland farming, crops like pistachio nuts, apricots, saffron, and that are well suited to the climates of our respective countries. People who are world leaders in holistic agriculture, like Alan Savory of Zimbabwe, with the Savory Institute, have pioneered planned grazing techniques, and they've demonstrated to us that agriculture is the only significant path out of global desertification and warming. Now, Australia and Afghanistan are unique agricultural environments. They're very dry, and the opportunity to become world leaders in this industry sector is significant. The other one is textiles. Now, we know that Afghanistan is a leader in high quality traditional textile manufacture, dating back to the Silk Road era. And with Australia being a producer of high quality fine merino wool and cotton, the opportunity for Afghan women to bring skills and experience to production in Australia is vast. And trade relations must be built through industry channels rather than relying on governments, because there is always within industry motivation and understanding of expediency. And I tend to think that where industry leads, governments will always follow. Now, just talking about that, I'm not talking about cottage industry of the kind that we see with carpet making and other textile manufacture in Afghanistan. I'm talking about the opportunity for women with the foundation of education to actually come out and participate in niche, high quality agricultural and textile industry. I'm not talking about factory stuff. I'm talking about very high-end designer clothing, and that sort of thing. We've seen that happen in other countries. And the reason I highlight these things, and just to close here, the era of short-term project aid and development in Afghanistan has come to an end. And sadly, we see our friend and partner in the storm of yet another regime change. However, if I can offer you all one message of hope, it is that regardless of who governs Afghanistan, there will always be strong economic, social and cultural ties between our people. And the relationships between people in Afghanistan and Australia are the foundation for those ties. It's not governments, because governments change. It'll be between people and industry. And our women play a key role in this relationship because they have the emotional strength to carry on through adversity. And this is like the foundation in a building. We have to protect that foundation because the constructs that are built upon it uphold civil society, and that provides opportunity and growth in all aspects of our lives. So I can only say at this point, I'm hopeful for the future, and God bless everybody who's making a huge effort to carry on facing the looming crisis in Afghanistan, because I think we have to trade on hope and optimism and constructive projects to see everyone through the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for the information you've provided. The information you've provided is so vital in allowing us to structure our diaspora frameworks even better. Thank you very much. Very vital information. Thank you. And you know, the fact that you said, I really liked it how you said it, and it was nicely put together, how women are the foundation, like foundation of a building. They need to be incorporated in every aspect of our lives. So thank you very much for that. It really
thank you, Sonia.
Thank you. So what I would like to do is soon we'll be ending our webinar. However, prior to that, I would like to give our audience a chance to ask questions. But thank you very much for your patience, our audience. Dr. John, may I please ask for your help to maybe give out some of the questions that has been typed.
I think Mr. Didar is put his hands up. He's got a questions.
Sure.
And the rest of the question is okay. You then, Sarnwal Didar, can ask the questions. Yeah.
Hello, how are you? Thanks from all of you. Welcome to everyone. As today's discussion is the women rules and the obstacle against women in Afghanistan. So also there is a biggest problem in Afghanistan is like education, an obstacle against the education in Afghanistan. And the second is lack of the job opportunities, as the government of Afghanistan and the constitution law and Article 48, they mentioned that if the Afghan has the right to be to work, but unfortunately they are not paved the way for them. The third, lack of women's rights in Afghanistan. So every time when some violence happen in Afghanistan against women or youngs in Afghanistan, so the Human Rights Commission not raise their voice for the protecting of the human rights in Afghanistan. So we need youngs and women need to raise their voice against this violence in Afghanistan. And the fourth, that the domestic violence in Afghanistan. So it will be better that I will talk by Pashto. by Persian. چنان که میفهمیم خانم انوری که در افغانستان اینی کدام عمده نقاط را که ذکر کردم که یکی تعلیم است که در بخش مشکلات بسیار زیاد داریم. ما در یک مکتب رفته بودیم، تقریبا دو مکتب طالبا 5 دفعه و مکتب سوختانده بودن. باز هم دو مکتب که ما رفتیم تعداد دخترای و مکتب یک قدر زیاد بودن که وا به خاطر سرپناه جای نداشتن و در خیمه زندگی میکرد و خواستشان از دولت افغانستان همی بود که یک سرپناه به یا جور کنن تا یا بتانن به تعلیم خود ادامه بدن. یعنی امی محبت، یعنی امو انترست دخترای افغان چقدر زیاد است که در یک مکتب یک قدر حادثه هم شده باشه باز هم و بعضی علاقمند باشه که بیاین در مکتب درس بخوانند. باید در این بخش یک ذره کار شود. و دوم، چنان که دولت افغانستان وعده به هر کس، به هر افغان امیر داده بود که باید به هر کس باید وظیفه داده شود، چون در این وعده کرده بودن در قانون اساسی 48 ماده هم ذکر کرده که هر افغان حق کار کردن داره، مگر متاسفانه یک عملکرد، یک مکانیزم خاص به خاطر زی ایجاد نکرده که هم افغان ها از استفاده کنه. و سیوم محقق حقوق زنان افغانستان است که باید به آنها داده میشد. خودتان میبینین و بخش چهارمش است که خشونت علیه زنان که در افغانستان ما خودتان تعقیب میکنین خانم اروری و دیگران که کدام مشکلات در افغانستان با وجود میاد. مگم حقوق بشر هیچ وقت صدای خود بلند نکرده در افغانستان و آلی فعلا خواست ما از دیاسپورا و اونو کسانی که بیرون از افغانستان زندگی میکنه ای است که یا خودشان در بین خود یک مکانیزم جور کنن که با هم باید متحد باشن. اگر اینها یک صدای بلند کنن برای افغانها در دیگر کشورها میتونه یک نتیجه بسیار خوب بر ما بده. و اگر او در بخش باشه، اگر در بخش تعلیم باشه، اگر در بخش خشونت علیه زنان اطفال باشه، دیگه میتونه یک نتیجه مثبت بده. دیگه خواست ما همچنان از خودتان خانم انوری و همه کسانی که دور از افغانستان است به خاطر این مکانیزم باید کار کنه. و تنها اگر بیاییم تنها به خانم ریتانوری و همچنان خانم شکریه بارگزی نمیشه که مشکلات را حل کنیم. کسای دیگه است بیرون از افغانستان که مسئولیت پذیر نیستن، یعنی خود افغان میگن مگم به افغانستان کار نمیکنه. میچن خانمایی که من میبینم مثلا خودتان هستی خانم انوری، سونیا حکیم است و خانم شکریه بارگزی است و خانمای دیگه که در سرالکت شما کار میکنن، مثلا که دنس و همچنان دیگران، این کوشش به میکنن تا صدای امو خاموش افغانا را به ملل متحد و به دیگر کشورها برسانند. دیگه بازم تشکر میکنم از شما خانم ریتانوری که با برگزاری چنین برنامه ها میخواین که یک مثبت تغییر در افغانستان بیارید. بسیار زیاد تشکر.
Thank you so much. I'll just go back. Basically, our mission is for not just only us, it's all whoever is living in outside of country from Afghanistan. That's our job to help back in Afghanistan. If we don't help, that's mean we're not carrying the blood of Afghanistan with ourselves. That's we have to feel guilty on this one. From Afghanistan side, we kindly asking کسایی که بساب در افغانستان هستند از اونا خواهش از این میکنیم که ما وقت شخصی خود، وقتی که بساب نه از اون ما از افغانستان نه قدرت میخوایم نه بساب پاور میخوایم، نه میخوایم که در افغانستان بساب ما کدام کاری شویم، فقط میخوایم که زنای مظلوم بیچاره که در می فعلا به نام کلچر، به نام مذهب، به نام رسم و رواج هر لحظه اونا در زیر خشونت هستند. And then how we can help this woman basically. This is we need to hear that voice, and we need our friend like Kay, Jason Lucas to put this one through to Australian Parliament. Australian government's been friend with Afghanistan for many years. They play biggest role in Afghanistan to look at military and also a political way. But as me and Dr. Kay and my other friends, we think it's not good enough. We need to, they need to hear our voice as Afghan and to not just only listen, to do action basically. Dr. Kay, you've got anything to say on this?
Thank you, Rita, and thank you for the comments. The more I listen to the group, there's a couple of things that come to my mind. is the problem, or part of the problem. As you know, Afghanistan has got a lot of problems at the moment. But let's look at things like the communication. So we need to be able to communicate exactly what's going on in the country. And this is a real problem, because we need to be able to communicate this message, not just to the government, as Patrick was saying. I think we need to communicate to the journalists. Yes, that's obvious, but to go deeper than that, communication through the universities, to the academics, to the researchers. Now we need to get the people that are in the universities in Afghanistan to talk with their fellow researchers in other countries and help them engage in research that will benefit Afghanistan. So for instance, when we do a literature review, we look through the library at the university and we see what literature is available on Afghanistan, what literature, what papers are talking about these issues about Afghanistan. And you know that you could fill 1,000 PhDs, 1,000 master's degrees, thesis, honors thesis in the law schools on the problems that Afghan people are facing. If we look at the history of Australia, the history of the power of university students to action change. If you look long before we were all born, in the 1960s, when the university students took to the streets in Australia and raised their voices collectively, there was great change. And I think this is an area that we can and we should start tapping into, is not to just go the old way and say, let's action the government, because we know the government is lazy. We know the government is not listening, is like already looking at what's going on with China. You know, they're forgetting now because they're turning the page. I think we need to get to the people that really love to have conversation, and in that conversation, try and find solutions. And that's in academia. We have to tap into those bright minds and get everybody talking about this. How do we do that? We get the invitations out to them. We target the University of Queensland, Southern Cross, my university at Armidale, a university in New England. We target as many universities that we can. We make sure that we have a good mix of English.
Let me say something.
And Pashtunwali.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I have got 35 scholarship for Afghanistan, but that scholarship is for certain university. 5 of them is studying in Australia. Do you know what they're studying? They're studying in Afghanistan economic.
Yeah.
They're studying Afghanistan mining, environment, and also geographic things, and that's a PhD. They want to do research basically. And another one is the side of the province of Wardak, specifically. What's there? It's they've got a 5 PhD student. They are government official basically. They're part of the government. And so what do you think if they're going with that brain, become a minister in Afghanistan? So what do you think? That's the change we wanted. And that's what I want to make the thing, the change but I'm just a reader. I'm just a little woman with no power, but I'm trying my best. I need you guys to come up with us and we get that. And I need my friend in Afghanistan, خانمایی که در افغانستان در پارلمان هستن، ما را میخوایم که ما جوین کنن، صدای خود بلند کنن که ما حکومت استرالیا که ما کمک کنه پس افغانستان. We need Afghanistan parliamentary women from the countryside to come up and raise their voice, and then We can join in with Australian people, with a good friend like yourself, like Jason, and the voice can go back to the federal government. We need Australian federal government to engage with us as well, as much as we want Afghanistan parliamentary to engage with us. And otherwise, it's just going to be a matter of talking. That's the action to engagement, collaboration.
I think
I'm
Rita
sorry, I'll talk
as well.
too fast.
No, I think Rita as well. What would happen if we could get some of the women that spoke so eloquently tonight and so passionately, if we can get them somehow to, if we can make a video recording of them raising some specific points in English, that we can share on our social networks, we can share with the government. Luke will take that message to Parliament.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to, with my good friends, we can take to the ministry, they can take to the government. And so I'm just going to speak back to فارسی. اگه ما بتونیم زنایی که در داخل پارلمان افغانستان از یک ویدیو کوتاه جور کنن.
ریتا جان، ما از پارلمان افغانستان خصوصا پارلمنتری وومن کاکس and parliamentary Standing Committee for Women Affairs, we requested the Australian Parliament to have like a virtual meeting regarding how they can support women of Afghanistan, how they can help Afghanistan. So we already have a planning. We request our embassy to make this connection to have this virtual meeting. So we are really looking for that meeting to happen. I will be happy if Dr. Rita, if you really help us and facilitate us. We're already in touch through WhatsApp. So let's work on it and have this virtual meeting as soon as possible.
Yes, we are more than happy to do it, but I want to do it as a friendship, not through to Afghanistan embassy. This is a different challenge for me to go through. But if as an Afghan woman, an Australian woman, because I carry two blood, I can't say myself like I'm Afghan or Australian. I'm living in Afghanistan, carrying Australian citizen. I eat and live in Australia, but my blood is an Afghan. I feel for Afghan women, so I play two roles. If my Afghan woman can approach me as a just Afghan woman, I'm more than happy to do it. This is the connection I have got. I'm more than happy to make it happen as long as they can.
If you help us to make this happen, we'll be happy. I will put you in our office back in Parliament, because nowadays I'm suffering from Corona. I'm just in house.
That's okay. I do it as a woman empowerment, leadership. I'm more than happy to do whatever is possible for Afghanistan women. And I've got a good friend like Dr. Kate, like Jason, like Lucas and Patrick and other friends. They stand by us, and we were here to help Afghanistan people. And as we said, we are Afghanistan Australian, but we are here to help. But I don't want it to knock any diplomat channel, because that will take forever. And then most of the time it doesn't come that positive as well. And I want Afghanistan parliamentary, because they're not part of the Afghanistan government. They're part of the people. They're the voice of the people. You guys, women, is not belong to the Afghanistan government. You guys belong to the people of Afghanistan. That's why we approach you directly.
Well, we'll be happy to work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think too, if I can just say to our Afghan sister there that I'm more than happy to assist in any way. If you have the details of the meeting that you've requested, I'm not sure how that's going through. I think you said something about going through the embassy in Australia. I'm happy to work with Rita to take a more direct approach.
We had a different meeting with a different parliament through our embassy. They send our request to the parliaments of different countries. Then they make this connection. The time they did they shared the link. So that's why we also, because we were informed that you will have meeting with Australian Parliament. So that's why I just shared information, because we have no other source. You already closed your embassy here.
Yeah.
So we had to reach you. So this was the only way we can reach you and work together.
Yeah.
So then it's interesting to facilitate us, and then I can put, as I said, I'm a little bit sick. I'm just in the house taking medication. to not going to parliament, and because my health is not so good.
No.
So hopefully I recover from this illness. I will go back and I will share this information to put Rita Jan in touch with them and reach you how to make this happen.
Shukran, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your voice. Thank you. And there's if any other questions, we're more than happy to follow up. Otherwise, Sonia John, thank you so much for putting effort and being we're putting a big clap for Sonia John. Thank you so much for being here and representing women empowerment leadership and also diaspora and AFED, and every single person is here tonight because of women empowerment leadership, to being connected with Afghanistan Parliament and Afghanistan Committee. And appreciate your time and that every second minute is value for us. It's been recorded, and after possibly a few days, there will be live in our Facebook page and media. We can have a look at. Hopefully next time we can come with more friends and more delegation we go further and we can discuss about Afghanistan. And then thanks for your support.
Thank you, Rita, for everything you do for the community here and in Afghanistan as well and elsewhere. You're a very energetic young lady, and sometimes I get very tired trying to follow in your footsteps, but you're a great inspiration to many people, men and women, young and old. And I think on behalf of the group, I know everyone would give you a round of applause and say thank you very much for everything that you're doing for everybody. And keep going, young lady, because it's working. People are starting to talk. We have the great Alan Jones on Sky News. We have other people in the Australian media that are listening. We have our petition before the government on the situation for the mission essential personnel. We also have the petition calling for protections for Afghan human rights defenders and Afghan journalists and the Afghan people in particular. So thank you, Rita, for being a very big inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kay. If
Thanks for all.
Wants to say something, otherwise this brings the webinar to an end. Thank you very much, everyone.
تشکر از همتان.
Thank you.
تشکر از
و بخصوص از خانم ریتا انوری و سونیا حکیم.
Thank you. Thank you, Khanum Al-Thani.
Thank you very much, Sonia. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Munira John.
اگم خانم انوری هم صدای ما داری؟
تشکر خانم ریتا و همه کسایی که زحمت کشیدن. ممنون.
قربانتان، خدا کنه از مسیج شما درست رسیده باشن و دوستای ما که از پارلمان آمده بودن و همچنان در آینده میخوایم در این موضوع زیادتر صحبت کنیم چطور بتونیم که ما هم کلچر تغییرات درش بیاریم، کلچر پیور خود افغانی خود ما باشه تا بتونه زنها آسانتر و آرامتر بتونه زندگی کنن. بازم تشکر از منیره جان، تشکر از خانم الکانی که تا بال همراه ما هستند، از دکتر کی. Thank you so much. Patrick, it's late night, but thank you so much. And Sonia Jan, Qurban Sarat, thank you so much. And I think your husband is here as well, Nasir Jan, thank you so much. And yeah, have a great night. And we definitely put this video back on the Facebook page. And my dear sister, your name is not there, but I can see you. Thank you so much for here with us as well, Sarah John Nabil as well. And we'll next time, inshallah, we will see. I will end the event right now. Thank you so much.
Masalama, inshallah. Fi amanillah.
Inshallah, goodbye. Do Khuday pa aman.
Shukran.
Shukran.